How did one silent week end with a stranger handing me divorce papers in the school pickup line? Why did my husband look calm while everyone watched me shake and drop my phone? What if the whole week I thought I was teaching him a lesson was actually him preparing to end the marriage? My name is Melisande Quill, and I always said I knew what respect looked like. Respect was attention. Respect was effort. Respect was someone choosing me first, even on boring days. Evan, my husband, stopped doing that in small ways, so small that I could not point at one thing. He came home, he ate, he asked about Piper's homework, and then he sat with his laptop, like I was part of the furniture. I told myself it was normal to feel invisible. I also told myself it was not my fault when I looked for light somewhere else. I still think a person can only breathe for so long in a quiet room. That Monday morning, I made coffee and watched Evan move around the kitchen like he was careful not to touch me. He put his mug down on the left side of the counter. I put mine on the right. We did that without speaking, like we were already practicing a new life. Piper came in with her hair messy and her socks half on. Piper asked why Dad was making his own toast. I said he liked it that way. Evan looked at me for a second, like he wanted to argue, then he looked away. He asked if I could sign the school form later. I said I was busy. He nodded like my busy was a real wall, not a choice. After Piper left for school, the house felt too big. I opened my phone and stared at his contact name. My thumb hovered. I thought about the last time I tried to talk and how he had asked me to be clear. He had said he could not fix a feeling if I refused to name it. I had told him he was playing dumb. I had told him he knew exactly what he was doing. I decided I would force him to feel the gap. I told myself it was a lesson. I told myself it was a boundary. I pressed block. A small calm rushed through me, like I had finally moved a heavy chair out of my way. I imagined him seeing the silence and panicking. I imagined him calling from another number. I imagined him driving home early and asking what he did wrong. I imagined him admitting that I mattered. I texted Marin right away. Marin was my best friend and the kind of person who called every fight a test. She asked what happened. I said Evan had been cold for months. She asked if I had told him. I said I had tried and he did not care. She said a week would wake him up. She said men only value what they can lose. I agreed fast because it sounded smart. Dahlia, my sister, called later. She asked why my voice sounded sharp. I said I was protecting my peace. She asked if blocking him was too much. I said it was not blocking, it was space. She said Evan seemed steady. I said steady was another word for controlling. She did not argue, but she went quiet, and I hated that quiet more than Evan's laptop silence. At work, I acted like nothing happened. I smiled at the receptionist. I answered emails. I scheduled projects. I told myself I was a professional woman who did not beg for love. But my mind kept checking my phone like a dog, waiting for a door to open. At lunch, I sat in the break room and watched my phone screen stay blank. I felt annoyed instead of worried, because he was supposed to break first. He was supposed to prove my point. Noah walked by my desk in the afternoon. Noah worked in sales, and he had that easy voice that made everything sound like a secret. He asked if I wanted coffee. I said I had meetings. He said I looked tired. I said my husband was being difficult. He asked if I was okay. I said I was handling it. He told me I deserved to be seen. I let that sentence sit in my chest like a warm coin. When I got home, Evan's car was in the driveway, straight and neat, as if he had parked with a ruler. I walked inside with my keys loud on purpose. He did not come to the door. He was at the table with his laptop open and a plain folder beside it. The folder did not have a brand name or logo. It just looked like something from an office supply store. He glanced up and asked how my day went. I said it was fine. He asked if I wanted to talk after Piper went to bed. I said there was nothing to talk about until he started acting like a husband. He took a slow breath and nodded, like he was counting to 10 in his head. Piper ran into the room and started talking about her class. Evan listened, asked questions, and smiled at the right times. I watched him do it and felt angry that he could be warm for her but not for me. It was not fair, even though a part of me knew it was not about fairness. It was about control. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. After dinner, I waited for his phone to buzz and for him to ask why he could not reach me. It did not happen. He washed dishes. He wiped the counter. He packed Piper's lunch. He moved like a person finishing chores before a trip. Later, when Piper was brushing her teeth, Evan's phone lit up on the table. I saw a calendar reminder flash for a second. It said, "Meeting, personal," and showed a time that did not match his work schedule. He picked up the phone right away and turned the screen down. The movement was smooth, almost practiced. I asked what meeting that was. He said it was something he needed to do. I asked if it was about me. He said it was about the family. I laughed and told him he was dramatic. He did not laugh back. He asked why I was acting like this. I said because he pushed me to it. He asked what that meant. I said he knew what it meant. He stood up and walked to the hallway. I heard a drawer open and then a soft click when it closed. It sounded like a lock. The house was quiet again. In bed, I stared at the ceiling and felt my power start to wobble. Blocking him should have made him chase me. Instead, it felt like I had removed myself from the story, and he kept moving without me. I told myself he was pretending. I told myself he would break tomorrow. I told myself I deserved to be wanted, and if I had to force it, that was still love in a real marriage. I checked my phone one more time and saw no missed calls, no new messages, nothing at all. By Tuesday, the block felt like a small crown on my head. I told myself I was strong. I told myself I was not the kind of wife who begged. I checked my phone anyway, like my hand moved on its own. The screen stayed quiet, and I started to feel offended, not relieved. At work, I made my face smooth. I kept my voice bright. I answered calls like nothing was wrong. That is what I always did. I could be falling apart and still send a clean email. Tomas, my manager, walked past my desk and asked if I could stay late for a client change. I said yes. He asked if my schedule was okay. I said my home life was simple right now. I said it like it was a good thing. He nodded and walked away. Marin messaged me first. She asked if Evan had cracked. I said not yet. She told me to post something that looked calm. She said silence was a weapon if people believed it was choice. I liked that. I liked anything that made me sound wise instead of petty. At lunch, I took a photo of my salad and my laptop. I posted a story about peace and boundaries. I did not name Evan, but I did not need to. I knew people would fill the blank. I added a little line about choosing myself. I watched the views climb. I watched the hearts. I felt fed. In the break room, Janelle from the school moms group texted me and asked if everything was okay. I said relationships have seasons, and I was protecting my energy. She sent a sad face and said she admired me. I read it twice. I told myself I was doing something brave. Noah came by my desk later with a paper cup in his hand. He asked if I wanted coffee. I said I was trying to cut caffeine. He said I looked like I needed it. I said I had been carrying a lot. He asked if Evan was still being cold. I said yes. I did not say I was blocking him. I did not say I was the one closing the door. It sounded better if I was the one locked out. Noah sat on the edge of a meeting room table and leaned in like we were sharing a secret. He asked what I wanted from my husband. I said I wanted to feel chosen. He said that was not too much. He said some men only understand loss. I agreed fast, like he was reading from my own script. After work, I met Marin at a coffee shop near the office. The place was bright and loud, with people tapping on laptops. Marin asked if I was holding firm. I said yes. She asked if Evan had tried to reach me through Piper. I said no. and I rolled my eyes like Evan was the pathetic one. Marin said he was playing mind games. I said he always did. That was not true, but it felt useful. It gave me a villain. It gave me a reason to keep going. Marin asked if I missed him. I said I missed the version of him that tried. I said I did not miss the quiet man who acted like I was extra. Marin said I should remind everyone how hard I tried. I said I already did. She told me to be careful because people loved a loyal husband story. I said Evan was not loyal to my feelings. We both nodded like we were experts. On my way out, I saw my reflection in the glass door. I looked fine. I looked in control. I thought about texting Noah a thank you. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was just support. That night, I stayed late at work like Tomas asked. I liked being busy because busy made my choices look clean. When I finally drove home, I sat in the car for a minute and stared at the house. The windows looked calm. The driveway looked calm. Everything looked calm, and I hated it. Inside, Evan was in the living room with his laptop again. Piper was coloring at the table. Evan asked how my day was. I said it was long. He asked if I ate. I said I grabbed something. He asked if I could help Piper with a spelling list. I said I would later. He did not push. He did not argue. He did not even look like he was waiting for me to fail. He just turned back to the screen. Piper asked if we could watch a show together. I said maybe. Evan said yes and told her to finish one page first. She smiled at him. I felt a tightness in my chest, like I was watching them be a team without me. When Piper went to bed, I walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge too hard. Evan came in a minute later and asked if we could talk now. I said talking did not fix disrespect. He asked what disrespect I meant. I said he acted like I was not important. He said he never meant that. I said impact mattered more than intent. I said it like it was a rule I invented, so I could win. Evan rubbed his forehead and asked if I was seeing someone. I laughed and said he was paranoid. He asked again, quiet her. I said he was trying to make me the bad guy. He went still for a second, then he nodded once like he was writing something down in his mind. Later, while I was brushing my teeth, I heard the printer in the hallway. It made one short noise, like it printed a single sheet. I stepped out and saw a page sticking out, mostly blank like a test print. Evan walked over, took it, and folded it without reading. He put it in the recycling, like it was nothing. I asked what he printed. He said it was an error. I asked why he was printing at night. He said he was organizing. I asked what he was organizing. He said household stuff. His voice stayed calm, but his eyes did not stay on mine. As I climbed into bed, I heard a soft notification sound from his laptop in the other room, the kind that meant something uploaded. I told myself it was work. I told myself he was not that smart. I told myself I was still in control. But when I closed my eyes, I could not sleep. The silence did not feel like my weapon anymore. It felt like a hallway, and Evan was walking down it without turning back. By Thursday, I was tired of winning in private. A block is only fun when the other person reacts. Evan did not react. He kept taking Piper to school. He kept packing her lunch. He kept showing up to life like nothing was wrong. That made me feel like I was the problem, and I hated that feeling. So I decided to make it public. Marin invited us to a rooftop bar for a co-worker's birthday. She said a crowd would change the energy. She said Evan would not want to look cold in front of people. I told her that was exactly the point. I told myself I was giving him a chance to fix things where it counted. I did not unblock him to invite him. I told Piper we were going out, and I told Evan the plan like he was a roommate. He asked why I was being so formal. I said I was being clear. He asked if I wanted him to come. I said he could come if he wanted to act normal. He nodded like normal was a test with no instructions. I dressed like I was going somewhere important. I chose a top that made me feel sharp, like armor. I watched Evan in the mirror as he put on a clean shirt. He moved slowly, like he was deciding if it was worth it. I wanted him to hurry. I wanted him to prove he cared. He did not. We dropped Piper at my sister's place. Dahlia opened the door and looked at both of us like she could smell trouble. She asked if everything was okay. I said we were fine. Evan thanked her for watching Piper. She said it was no problem, but her eyes stayed on me too long. The rooftop bar was loud, crowded, and bright in a cheap way. People leaned close to talk. Phones flashed for photos. Music hit the chest more than the ears. Maureen hugged me too hard and asked if I was holding strong. I said yes. She looked at Evan and asked if he missed me. He said he missed peace. People laughed like it was a joke, but his face did not change. I stood closer to Noah on purpose. Noah was there with a few sales friends. He asked how I was doing. I said I was surviving. He said I deserved more than survival. I said I knew. I let him hand me a drink, like it meant something. I watched Evan notice. I wanted him to feel it. Marin guided a group toward a big table and started pulling people into stories. She asked Evan about work, and then turned it into a joke about how he was married to his laptop. I added to it. I said he was loyal to spreadsheets, not to romance. People laughed again. The laughter made me feel taller. Evan asked me quietly to stop. I said he could take a joke. He asked why I was doing this here. I said because he only listened when people watched. He said that was not true. I said he was lying to himself. He looked at Marin and asked if she could change the topic. Marin said he was being sensitive. Someone else said he should loosen up. Evan nodded once like he accepted a bad customer service policy. Noah leaned toward me and asked if Evan always acted like a victim. I said yes. I said Evan loved to punish me with silence. I said he made me feel like I was crazy for wanting normal affection. I heard my own words and believed them in the moment because belief was easier than doubt. A woman from my office lifted her phone and asked for a group picture. I slid closer to Noah and kept Evan at the edge. Evan stepped away instead of fighting for the frame. That made my stomach flip. I wanted him to push back. I wanted him to demand a place. He did not. Later, someone started a birthday toast. Marin raised her glass and asked everyone to say one nice thing about the person next to them. People cheered and leaned in. When it was my turn, I looked at Evan and felt a cold idea bloom. If I made him small in a fun way, people would back me. They would remember me as the brave wife with the hard husband. I said Evan was dependable, like a phone charger. I said he was always there, but no one noticed until he was missing. People laughed. Some laughed too loud. Evan's mouth tightened for a second. He asked me, very softly, to stop. I said he was proving my point. I said if he loved me, he would try harder. Evan did not argue. He put his glass down and asked if I wanted to leave. I said he could leave if he wanted. I said I was not his child. He nodded, like he heard a final answer. He told Marin he was going to head out. Marin asked why. He said he had an early morning. Someone teased him and asked if I was letting him. I said I did not control him, and I smiled, like I was generous. Evan looked at me one last time before he walked away. He did not look angry. He looked tired and clear, like he finally understood something. That scared me more than anger. Anger meant he still needed me. Clarity meant he did not. I stayed at the bar and acted like I did not care. I laughed with Noah. I nodded at jokes. I let people refill my glass. I checked my phone and still saw the block icon beside Evan's name. It suddenly looked childish, like a sticker on a serious letter. When the night ended, Maureen and I walked to the parking garage. The air was colder there, and the echo made every step sound dramatic. Maureen asked if I thought Evan would come around now. I said he would have to. She asked if I was worried. I said no. On the level below, I saw Evan's car with the interior light on. He was in the driver's seat, not driving yet. His phone was up near the steering wheel. For a second I thought he was calling me, using another app, trying to get through the block, but then I heard a soft beep, small and clean, like a recording starting. I froze, and Marin kept walking. Evan did not look at me. He stared forward like he was waiting for a timer. He lowered the phone slowly and placed it near the console. Then he drove out of the garage in one smooth line, like he had practiced. Marin asked what was wrong. I said nothing. My heart was beating in a way that felt like a warning. I told myself Evan would never do something serious. I told myself he was too gentle. I told myself he was just collecting proof that I was mean, and that proof would not matter. But as I rode home with Moran, the city light streaking past the window, I kept thinking about that beep. I kept thinking about how calm he looked. And for the first time all week, I wondered if the block was not a lesson for him at all, but a door I closed behind myself. On Friday morning, I woke up with a dry mouth and a tight chest. The memory of that soft beep in the parking garage stayed in my head like a ringtone. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself Evan was just being dramatic. Still, I checked my phone before I even sat up. His contact was still blocked. I stared at it like it was a badge. It felt heavy now, not proud. Evan was already up. I heard plates in the kitchen and Piper's small voice. When I walked in, Evan had made her oatmeal the way she liked, with the cinnamon mixed in, not on top. He asked if I wanted coffee. I said I could make my own. He nodded and kept his face calm. That calm made me want to poke him until he cracked. Piper asked if we were going to eat together this weekend. I said of course. Evan said we would keep plans simple. I watched him say simple like it was a rule, not a hope. After school drop-off, I drove to my sister's salon. Dahlia had told me she could fit me in between clients. I said I wanted a trim. That was true, but it was also an excuse. I wanted a room where people would listen to me and tell me I was right. The salon smelled like shampoo and hairspray. Music played softly, and the mirrors made everything look bigger than it was. Dahlia led me to the back room with a tiny couch and a coat rack. She asked what was going on. I said Evan was punishing me. She asked how. I said with silence and cold looks. She asked if I was still blocking him. I said it was space, not blocking. Dahlia said Evan looked tired last night when he picked up Piper. I said he was acting. I said he loved looking like the good guy. Dahlia asked if I was sure. I said I was sure of my feelings. That was my favorite kind of sure because nobody could prove it wrong. Marin arrived 10 minutes later, waving her phone like it was a fan. She said my bar toast was funny and people were talking about it. She said it made Evan look weak. I felt a flash of relief. If people were talking, it meant I still had the story. Dahlia frowned and asked why I wanted my husband to look weak. I told her it was not like that. I said I wanted him to understand how it felt. Marin said men only learn from embarrassment. I nodded hard. I said respect follows results, and I had results. The words sounded confident in the salon light. Dahlia asked if there was someone else. I laughed and said she was being paranoid like Evan. She said she was not paranoid. She said she was worried. I told her she always took the calm person's side. She said calm did not always mean wrong. That sentence annoyed me more than it should have. While Dahlia washed my hair, my phone buzzed with a missed call. It showed no caller ID. My skin prickled. I told myself it was spam. Marin asked who it was. I said it was nothing. I put the phone face down. Dahlia trimmed my hair and asked what I wanted next. I said I wanted Evan to chase me. She paused and said that was not a marriage goal. I said she did not understand. I said she never had to fight for attention the way I did. Dahlia's hand slowed. She asked if I wanted attention or love. I said they were the same thing. That evening, Evan's parents invited us to dinner. They said it was for Piper, because she liked their backyard lights. I agreed because I wanted witnesses. I wanted a room where Evan had to act like my husband again. The in-laws' dining room always felt too neat. The table was long, the napkins folded, the chairs lined up like a photo. Ruth hugged Piper and asked about school. Graham shook Evan's hand and asked about work. They greeted me politely, but there was a space in it, like a gap they did not want to step into. During dinner, Ruth asked how things were going at home. I said we were busy. Evan said we were adjusting routines. I heard adjusting and felt my stomach drop. Ruth asked what routines. Evan said he was handling mornings and school contact for now. Ruth said that sounded sensible. I wanted her to argue. She did not. Graham asked Evan about a new project. Evan answered calmly. He looked like a man who slept fine. I hated that. I wanted him to look broken so people would comfort me. Ruth looked at me and asked carefully if I had been faithful. The room went quiet in a polite way. My face got hot. I said she was attacking me. I said it was not her business. Ruth said she was not attacking. She said she needed clarity for the child's sake. I said Evan must have been telling stories. Evan said he was not discussing private issues at the table. I tried to pull the focus back. I said Evan had been emotionally absent for months. I said he made me feel invisible. Ruth asked if that excused betrayal. I said she was making assumptions. Graham looked at Evan and said nothing, but his eyes looked heavy. Piper asked why everyone was quiet. Evan told her dinner was fine, and he asked her about her spelling words. Piper smiled and started listing them. I watched how Evan guided her gently, like he was protecting her from the tension. It made me look worse, and I could feel it. After dinner, Piper ran to the backyard lights. Ruth followed her. In the kitchen, I asked Evan why he told his mother anything. He said he did not tell her details. I said she would not ask that question for no reason. He said she had eyes. I said he was turning them against me. He said I turned people against myself when I made everything a game. I stepped closer and asked if he was recording me. He looked surprised for half a second, then calm again. He asked why I thought that. I said because he acted like he was preparing. He said he was preparing for stability. I said he was threatening me. He said he was being responsible. On the drive home, Piper fell asleep in the back seat. The streetlights moved across her face like slow stripes. Evan drove with both hands on the wheel. I stared out the window and tried to think of the right words to pull him back into my control. When we got home, I saw the guest room door was closed. I opened it and saw the bed neatly made, like a hotel. A small overnight bag sat in the corner. It looked packed, but not rushed. On the dresser, there was a sticky note that said, "Bring forms." No names, no logos, just those two words. I walked into the kitchen and opened the school app on my phone. A notification popped up. It said the primary contact had been updated. Evan's name was first. My throat tightened. I told myself it was just a setting. I told myself it did not matter. But my finger hovered over the screen, and for the first time, I felt like I was the one being blocked. On Saturday morning, I finally felt the block turning against me. It was not a clean power move anymore. It was a gap that made me look strange. I could see it in little things. People stopped asking how I was. They started waiting to see what Evan would do. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my phone. I told myself I could end the week on my terms. I told myself I could unlock the door and still act like I owned the house. I opened Evan's contact. My finger hovered over unblock, like it was a confession. I pressed it. The screen changed, and I felt a quick rush of relief, like I had fixed something. Then I felt angry right after, because it meant the block was never strength. It was a tantrum with better wording. I typed a message that sounded calm. I wrote that I was ready to talk like adults. I wrote that I did not want drama. I wrote that I missed the family feeling. I did not write sorry. I did not write I hurt you. I wrote the kind of message that makes the other person look unreasonable if they do not reply. He replied, after a long time, but not long enough for me to say he ignored me. He wrote one sentence and nothing else. He said we could talk after Piper went to bed. That made me hopeful and offended at the same time. I told myself he was coming back. I also told myself he was late to the truth. To burn the extra energy, I went to the supermarket. I told myself I was being normal. I pushed the cart too fast. I picked foods Piper liked, and I picked foods Evan liked, as if shopping could glue a marriage back together. At checkout, my phone buzzed again. It was another missed call with no caller ID. My stomach tightened. I looked around like someone was watching me. The cashier asked if I wanted bags. I said yes too loudly. I shoved items into the bags like I was angry at plastic. As I walked out, I saw Evan in the parking lot near his car. He was not following me. He was standing beside the trunk with his phone in his hand, staring at the screen as if he was reading a list. When he saw me, he put the phone away without panic. He asked if I needed help with the bags. I said no. He nodded and opened his trunk anyway, calmly, like he had decided not to fight about small things. In the car, Piper talked about a cartoon she wanted to watch later. Evan listened and asked questions. I watched how he did it, steady and kind, and it made me feel both guilty and trapped. If he yelled, I could blame him. If he stayed calm, I had nowhere to hide. At home, I tried to reset the mood with action. I cleaned the counter. I put flowers in a jar. I made it look like we were a normal couple preparing for a normal night. I told myself I deserved a normal night after a hard week. Marin called in the afternoon. She asked if Evan was finally crawling back. I said we were talking tonight. She said I should keep control. She said I should not apologize too much, because men get lazy when they think they won. I told her she was right, even though I felt a small cold doubt. I still think I was right to want effort. I just did not like how the price was showing up. Dahlia texted me a short message and asked if Piper was okay. I said Piper was fine. Dahlia asked if I was okay. I said I was managing. I did not tell her about the no-caller ID calls or the school contact change. Those details made me feel less powerful, and I did not want to hand them to anyone. That evening, Piper took a bath and got into pajamas. She asked if we were eating together. Evan said yes. I said yes too, like it was my idea. We sat at the table and ate quietly. Evan asked Piper about her spelling words. Piper spelled them and smiled when Evan praised her. I tried to join in, but it felt like I was stepping into a room where people already decided the seating. When Piper went to bed, she asked if I would read to her. I said yes. Evan stood in the hallway and listened for a moment like he was checking if I could still be gentle. After I finished the story, Piper asked if Dad was mad at me. I said Dad was stressed. Evan said, from the doorway, that nobody was mad at Piper. He said adults were handling adult things. Piper nodded, but her eyes looked worried. In the living room, Evan sat on one end of the couch. I sat on the other end. The space between us felt planned, like a measurement. I tried to start with a soft voice. I said I wanted us to reconnect. He asked what reconnect meant to me. I said it meant him trying again. He asked what trying looked like, in plain actions. I hated that question because it forced reality into the room. I said he could text me more, plan dates, show affection. He asked if I could also change things. I said I already changed things by unblocking him. He looked at me for a long moment, like he was deciding whether to laugh. He did not laugh. He asked why I blocked him in the first place. I said I needed space. He asked why I did not tell him I needed space. I said he never listened. He said he had asked me to talk many times. I said his talks felt like meetings, not love. He said love was not a guessing game. I said maybe he was bad at guessing. I tried to flip the story fast. I said he had been distant for months. I said I felt alone. I said any woman would crack under that kind of neglect. He asked what I meant by crack. I said I meant I lost myself. He asked if I had been faithful. I said he was obsessing over the wrong thing. He said it was the right thing. I felt heat rise in my face. I told him he was acting like a lawyer. He said he was acting like a father. I told him he was trying to scare me. He said he was trying to make the next months calm for Piper. I leaned forward and told him he was overreacting. I said a week was nothing. I said he should be grateful I was still here. He asked what that meant. I said other men would treat me better. He said he was not competing anymore. That sentence hit me like cold water. I asked what he meant. He stood up slowly and walked to the kitchen. He opened a drawer and closed it again, soft and careful. I heard a small click, like a lock. He poured himself water and did not offer me any. I followed him and asked if he was planning something. He looked at me calmly and asked if I wanted to keep fighting or start being honest. I said I was being honest. He said honesty had facts, not just feelings. I tried to take back ground. I told him he was punishing me with silence and distance. He said he was not punishing me. He said he was setting boundaries. I asked if he was going to leave. He said he would do what was proper. I asked what proper meant, and he looked straight at me for the first time all day. He said he would handle it properly. The next Monday felt wrong from the start. Evan woke up early, made Piper breakfast, and packed her bag with quiet care. He did not ask me anything. He did not try to fix my mood. He moved like a man following a schedule that already existed. I drove to work and told myself he was bluffing. I told myself properly was just a word to scare me. Still, my hands kept sweating on the steering wheel. Around mid-morning, Tomas messaged me and asked me to come down to the office tower lobby for a delivery. I said I was busy. He said it would take 1 minute. I walked down anyway, trying to look calm. In the lobby, a man in plain clothes stepped forward and asked if I was Melisande Quill. I said yes and asked what this was. He said he had legal documents for me and needed to confirm my identity. I laughed once and told him this was insane. He said he was not there to argue. He was there to serve papers. I looked past him and saw Evan near the glass doors, not close enough to look like a scene, but close enough to be seen. His face was calm. His hands were empty. He did not smirk. He did not threaten. He just stood there, like a person watching a train arrive on time. I asked Evan what he was doing. He said he was handling it properly. I asked if he wanted to ruin my life at my workplace. He said he did not choose the lobby. He chose a lawful process. Tomas appeared behind me and asked if everything was okay. I said it was a misunderstanding. Evan said Tomas did not need details. I skimmed the first page with shaking hands. I saw the word divorce. I saw a temporary schedule for Piper and rules about contact. I saw dates that started soon, not later. My throat went tight. I asked Evan if this was about my week. He said it was about the pattern. I asked what pattern. He said I could discuss it through the proper channel. I told him he was cold. He said he was calm so Piper could be calm. That afternoon, I went to the school pickup line like always. I planned to act normal. I planned to smile at the other parents and pretend nothing happened. When I reached the front, the office staff asked me to step inside. The staff member said the contact list had been updated and they had instructions for pickup and drop-off starting on the listed date. I said I was the mother and I did not agree. She said she understood, but she had to follow the temporary schedule on file. Outside, Evan stood by the curb with Piper's backpack in his hand. Piper walked to him without running, like she knew the path. Evan thanked the staff quietly, took Piper's hand, and nodded once at me like this was already decided.